Alright guys, hope you're all doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. Back with another State of the Game recap video. This one predominantly looking at the Phase 1 PTS and Phase 2 balancing changes and additions. Let's get to this one then, drop a like if you enjoy it, let's go. So today we had Hamish, Johan and Mackenzie. The maintenance was yesterday where they added the season level skips. They do that with every season, so it's season 3 level skips that you can purchase from the store. PTS Phase 1 closed today. PTS Phase 2 goes live on the 27th of November, so that's in 9 days, next Friday, and that's going to run to the 2nd of December. Johan then started to talk about optimization station costs, basically because he said there's been a lot of feedback about the costs of this being way too high. I've actually covered this myself. I know a lot of people have covered this and talked about this, and there was definitely a lot of feedback around that. He did say that some of the sources for you to get the materials required are not available on the PTS, and also the descriptions on the Phase 1 of the PTS had not been updated to reflect that. You are going to be able to get these materials from Summit caches. These will always contain shade and field recon materials. Optimization caches as well are coming, and they're going to be part of the season reward ranks. And also all materials may be crafted from blueprints that you're going to be able to find with Season 4 as well. They actually believe that the balancing for optimization in terms of costs and rewards and stuff is in a good place. But they are going to continue to monitor feedback on this topic with Phase 2 of the PTS. Let me know what you guys, anyone who's played the PTS who's watching this video, let me know what you guys think of that in the comments down below. And I may actually come back to this topic in a future video. I've talked about it previously, kind of, but I may come back to actually just give my overall opinion about this in a future video. I don't know yet. The devs then went on to say there's never enough feedback, and whilst there is a lot of it, they don't acknowledge all of it basically, they are always reading feedback from everyone. With Phase 2, they said that all the sources that you would be able to get those optimization costs still will not be available because some of it's part of the season track, stuff that won't be available on Phase 2 of the PTS as well. But they did say that with Phase 2 of the PTS, you're going to be able to get the crafting blueprints from a cache, I believe, so you're going to be able to test those as well, and then that should give you a better idea as to how it's kind of working out with optimization. Bighorn, with Phase 1, there was a buff on the magazine size from 30 to 40, but they have a new buff as well, a new Bighorn buff coming with Phase 2, and I'm going to insert an image here used on State of the Game. The changes here is rather than immediately lose the stacks that you get once you reach 50 from the talent, instead 10 stacks will decay every 4 seconds, and they did include this video here, guys, as you can see running, and basically the decay will be it will be 10 stacks every 4 seconds until all stacks have been removed. Headshot delay, decaying of stacks. So you have to get those headshots in order to basically reset that decay, as you can see in the video. The question was asked, does the Bighorn, will it work with focus? Nope. They said the scope is different, but this change should help a lot with the stacks actually rewarding those who can hit those headshots. And I've got to admit, on the surface, just looking at it, I think this could be a really good change. For those people who can hit consistently those headshots, this could be pretty good. This could make this weapon actually pretty good. Moved on to the base PDR damage. They realized this didn't compete with other weapons, so they've adjusted it to be more in line with other weapons in the game, and they included this image. And as you can see with this side-by-side comparison with the SIG, it's just way more competitive now in terms of rate of fire and weapon damage and stuff. And this also will affect the name version of this weapon, along with the capacitor as well. And they included this image of the capacitor, the new exotic PDR. As you can see, the damage buff has taken effect. Also, they've done something with the mag size where they've bumped it up by plus 11 rounds in the mods, which is good. So that takes it from 30 to a 41 mag, I believe. But for anyone who was concerned that the 30% crit damage mod is being removed, that's actually not. It's actually just being moved to the muzzle. So that's still going to be there as well. They've also adjusted the talent on this weapon. Now you build up stacks up to 40 instead of before it's 50, but each one gives you 1.5% as opposed to 1% skill damage. So you can actually get up to 60% skill damage using the capacitor. Also, the weapon damage has been increased for each skill tier from 5% to 7.5%. So math off the top of my head, if you're using 6 tiers or 6 skill tiers, and that's 42.5% weapon damage extra. So I mean, just again, on paper, this weapon could be meta. Possibly for skill builds. I don't want to say meta because, you know, it's one of those things, but it looks really strong, guys. I've not tested it out myself. I'm just going on paper, but this looks to be a really strong weapon if you can keep those stacks up when TU12 goes live, and it should be. It's an exotic. But moving on to the Scorpio, the exotic shotgun, there's been a lot of feedback about this weapon in PvE and PvP. Mackenzie said the biggest thing is there is a lot of excitement about this weapon, and there's been some really good kind of run and gun builds that they've been able to see, which is great. But this weapon has been able to trivialize, there we go, legendary rogue agents. I actually watched a video by EK1 showing this. So they've made some adjustments to this. They want it to be good. They still want it to be very fun and something that you want to get, but they want to add some skill to it, and I think that's good. So the changes they've made is the duration of status effects is based on the percentage of pellets hit on applying shots. This means that you are going to be rewarded for landing more shots rather than hit, you know, an enemy from 70 meters with one pellet and then getting that full duration. Now you're going to have to hit more pellets to get that extended duration. So basically, one pellet will still apply poison, but it will be for a shorter duration than, say, if you hit 8 pellets, rewarding you for actually hitting 8 pellets. On the PvP side, this was obviously PvE side. On the PvP side, feedback was if you are running away from someone using this weapon and someone gets one shot on you, it applied that bleed because it only required one to get that bleed. So you kind of slowed down and then they could catch up with you, which was really quite toxic. Yeah, that's probably the best way to explain it. What they've done is they've increased all the amounts required to get the buff, so that doesn't really happen again. Moving on, 16 loadouts have been confirmed, which I did cover in a recent video, which again, it goes well with the inventory size increase and the more gear and the weapons and stuff that we're getting with this next season. And that will also apply to Vanity as well. Next image included in the state of the game went back to the optimization station, and this was just to show the updated description for the materials that you're going to need. It would be good, in my opinion, if you could go back through the season. Basically, you reset the season once you get to 100, and that way you could then refarm those optimization caches. I think that would be a good idea. That's not something I've seen brought up, but maybe the devs could consider this, because I can imagine once you've got through those and you've got those caches and you get that stuff, which is going to be beneficial, then after that level 100, you're then going to struggle to get. It's going to be way more difficult to get those materials, and I think this would be a good way to alleviate that. I think this would be a good way for people to then just to keep playing through the game. I know I would play it a lot more if I could then go back through the season rank to get the stuff that I need. Moving on, there's been a fix to the Achilles Pulse. There was an issue where the cooldown was not applying with mods, so that's been fixed. They're also fixing the Shrapnel Trap, and they're basically nerfing it to be more in line with other skills. And I did read about this being very strong. I actually tried it out today in some PvE, and it's very, very strong, with each trap doing upwards of 4 million damage. It was crazy strong. With that said, it was fun, and it's getting nerfed, but there we go. Moving on, Empress International, the new brand set, the named items had incorrect core attributes on the PTS, so these are all going to roll to skill tier now as well, which is good. They're also addressing some of the summit challenges to make them more even for how much time it takes to complete. Some of them will take 10 minutes, some of them a couple of minutes, so they're just going to make them a little bit more even. They then confirmed the preload for Phase 2 of the PTS will be next Thursday, and assuming nothing happens to kind of distract from the release of TU12, then it will be coming early December. And then kind of finishing off the stream, guys, there was obviously a question addressing PvP stuff. They said there's some PvP balancing coming with TU12, but there really isn't anything else. So yeah, anyone who's talking about PvP, either we're going to be getting a mass PvP update with Year 3, which I know some people believe is coming, or it feels like they're abandoning it. They're actually not going to be adding any more content to it. It's going to be one or the other, I imagine, guys. And then next stream will be December 2nd, which will cover Season 4 stuff. So there will be no State of the Game next week. And of course, there'll be no State of the Game recap video from me next week on Wednesday. But I'm sure I'll have some other stuff for you guys. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. If you did stick around to the end, I really do appreciate it. It really does help out my channel a whole lot. You probably don't realise how kind of the YouTube stuff works. But the more you watch, watch, especially if you watch all the way to the end, the more it helps me out. So if you have watched to the end, really do appreciate it. It's by far the best way you can support me. And until the next video, which I'm hoping will be out tomorrow, guys, it depends on a few things. Until that video, guys, epic out.